is autotrophic nutrition. If the organism is capable of preparing its own food, then it is autotrophic nutrition. Examples are green plants and blue-green algae. They both follow autotrophic nutrition. So plant nutrition. Green plants prepare their own food in the presence of sunlight, right? Everybody knows that. And sunlight provides the energy for the preparation of plants, solar energy. And then this solar energy will be converted into chemical energy. So sunlight provides energy in the plant nutrition, and carbon dioxide and water are the raw materials. And chloroplast is the site where food is made. We can see chloroplast in a transverse section of a leaf. So what is photosynthesis? Solar energy is converted into chemical energy and carbohydrates are formed in the photosynthesis reaction. Green leaves are the site of photosynthesis. Green portion of the plants contain chloroplast, a pigment, which contains a chlorophyll. So chloroplast is a cell which contains a pigment called chlorophyll, which also takes its role in photosynthesis. So the equation of photosynthesis can be written like this: 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 12 molecules of water in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight give rise to glucose plus oxygen plus water. This is the equation of photosynthesis. So what events takes place in this photosynthesis reaction? Sunlight activates the chlorophyll, which leads to the splitting of water molecules. Since this water molecule is being split because of the presence of sunlight. Then hydrogen is released by the splitting of water molecule, is utilized for the reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. So when the water molecule has split, hydrogen is released. This hydrogen is utilized for reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. Then oxygen is the byproduct of photosynthesis. Oxygen is also produced. Then carbohydrates are subsequently converted into starch and stored in the leaves and other plants. So carbohydrates is subsequently converted into starch. So this is glucose is the carbohydrates, which will be stored in the form of starch in the plants and in the leaves. Then splitting of water molecule is also a part of the light reaction. The water molecular splitting is also part of the light reaction. So these are the events which takes place in the photosynthesis. So next, what are the raw materials required for photosynthesis? Till now we have read that sunlight is essential. Other than sunlight, what are the things essential? Water, right? Water, carbon dioxide is essential. So water comes from the soil. Because we water the soil, we irrigate the soil. From the soil, the water is transported to all parts of the plant. How? With the help of xylem tissue. Xylem and phloem are the tissues which help in transportation of water. You have read this in class 9, right? They are specialized tissues which help in transportation of water, both vertical as well as horizontal transportation. So xylem tissue is present in stems as well as roots. Carbon dioxide next is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide comes in leaves through stomata. So stomata are the cells which are present on the leaves. These stomata contain guard cells in them, which help in the guard cells open and close. Those guard cells have stomata in them. So these guard cells only do the respiration process of the plant, and these are present in the leaf. So carbon dioxide comes in the leaf through stomata. If there is no stomata in the leaf will die. If there is no stomata, there will be no respiration process going on. Stomata are present in the guard cells of the leaf. So that is how stomata help in the breathing process. That is the reason carbon dioxide comes in the leaves. Next, what is the significance of photosynthesis? It is the main way through which the solar energy is made available for different living beings. So plants in a food chain, we read, right? In a food chain, the base level are always producers and the producers are always plants. So the energy which is taken from the sunlight will be stored in the plants in the form of chemical energy, and then the animals and the human beings who eat these plants, this energy will be transported to them, not all but some part. So that is the reason how for different living beings. Solar energy is absorbed by the plants, and then plants are eaten by animals as well as human beings, and then this solar energy will be transported to their bodies. Green plants are main producers of food in the ecosystem. So in a food pyramid or a food chain, the base level is always producers, and the producers are always green plants. All organisms directly or indirectly depend on green plants for their food. Animals cannot prepare their own food, right? They depend on plants only for their food. And then human beings also, mostly people who are vegetarians, they depend on plants for their food purpose, for the vegetables purpose. Process of photosynthesis helps in maintenance of carbon dioxide and oxygen balance in the air. So in the daytime, during the photosynthetic activity, the plants take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. And during the night time, plants behave like human beings. They take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. So that is how there will be a maintenance of a balance of both of these gases in the atmosphere. So other than these, some amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium are also required for the plant to prepare the food. This is sourced from the soil. There are some good bacteria present in the soil, right? Nitrogen fixing bacteria, rhizobium and all those that help in getting the nitrogen to the plants. So nitrogen is essential for proteins and breakdown of many substances, and then it is taken in the form of nitrates and nitrites, which is derived from the bacteria present in the soil. This experiment is a simple experiment to prove that carbon dioxide is essential for sunlight. We have to take 2 bell jars and we have to take 2 potted plants. We have to cover those 2 potted plants with 2 bell jars. Inside one bell jar, we will keep a plate with potassium hydroxide solution in it. So we have taken 2 potted plants. Beside one potted plant, in a saucepan or in a plate, we have put potassium hydroxide solution, and we have covered both the bell jars airtight. We have sealed it with Vaseline around it. So Vaseline doesn't allow the air to pass through and through. So we have sealed the edges of the bell jar with the help of Vaseline. So then we have kept these 2 bell jars with potted plants in the darkness. Then what we have observed? All the function of potassium hydroxide is the base. And what is the function of potassium hydroxide? It absorbs all the CO2, carbon dioxide present in the bell jar. So the plant, during its respiration and photosynthetic activity of the plant needs carbon dioxide, right? So if this potassium hydroxide absorbs all the carbon dioxide, then how will the plant prepare the food? How will the plant do the photosynthetic activity without carbon dioxide? It is very difficult, impossible, because photosynthesis requires carbon dioxide also. Photosynthesis requires sunlight, carbon dioxide and water. Because potassium hydroxide absorbs carbon dioxide, this plant will get shortage of CO2 and will lose all its stored food in the form of starch. But then this plant will not lose its CO2 or starch. The carbon dioxide is stored in the form of carbohydrates in the plant. That is the starch content. The carbon dioxide in the photosynthesis reaction will be stored in the form of carbohydrates, energy in the plant. So after this potassium hydroxide base in the first bell jar will absorb all the CO2 from the plant. So after 2 or 3 days, if you remove the bell jar and take one leaf and test it for the presence of carbon dioxide, if we pluck a leaf from the plant and put a drop of iodine on it, if the leaf turns blue or black, then only it indicates the presence of starch. If the leaf is colorless, it indicates that there is no starch. So we can prove here that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. After keeping the plants in bell jar for 3 days, this plant had potassium hydroxide base in it. So this potassium hydroxide base has absorbed all the carbon dioxide. And then after 3 days, we have plucked the leaf from this spot and from this spot, and we have poured iodine on it and tested for the presence of starch. this spotted leaf showed the presence of starch, that is blue-black color it has turned. But whereas this plant leaf did not change its color because there was no starch prepared in it, because there was no carbon dioxide.